Hi everybody and welcome to our first video, and I thought I would start with the daddy of all live albums. It's pretty cliched that some people say, this is the album that changed my life. This is the album that changed my life. Iron Maiden, Live After Death, on cassette. So we're going to not necessarily review it because this cannot be reviewed. There is nothing superior in the world of live albums or even albums in general. We're going to have a look at the packaging. As we're going to do on this channel, we're going to look at the retro cassette packaging and maybe compare it to its modern counterpart, the CD, and the fantastic DVD that accompanies this unholy trilogy. So, scream for me YouTube, this is Loft Legacy, Tales of the Tape, Iron Maiden, Live After Death.
Now let's have a look at the cassette and what a cassette tape and packaging it is. On the side, both sides are different and they reflect the album cover, which is quite different for that time. On the back is a continuation of this fantastic album cover by Derek Riggs. The tape itself is quite a plain EMI cassette, nothing special about it. And yes, I've played it that much, I've worn the lettering away. Let's have a look at the artwork. For cassettes of the time, it's absolutely spectacular. Full colour photography. Okay, it's on a cassette, so it's not the biggest representation of the photographs, but they're really clear for the size, and lots of different pictures of the band on the awesome World Slavery Tour. On the second cassette, it's pretty much the same, more concert pictures, probably less pictures of the band and more of that iconic stage set. Comparing it to the CD, this is the 1998 digitally remastered version of the album, and yes, it's got far more pictures and the pictures are larger, but there's some of the same pictures in both the cassette and the CD. I do have to laugh that the CD is quite dated because it's an enhanced CD and you can run it on Windows 95, which is reassuring. But again, great packaging, as all Maiden's albums are. What I do love about this is it can put the two pieces of artwork together and recreate the full album cover. So that's pretty cool, I think, and that's really special from Maiden. Even though I can't line them up properly. What is on the inside of the CD cover is some extremely detailed information. As you'd expect from all Maiden products, they love to give value for money. And on cassette too is every single tour date from the Mammoth World Slavery Tour. And I just love some of the nerdy ultra detail given on this. It's just awesome. It goes beyond what most bands do, as Maiden do most of the time. My favourite parts are the tour statistics. The first concert was in Warsaw, Poland on August the 9th, 1984, and continued through, I'm reading this by the way from the cassette, and continued through 24 countries for 322 days. During this period, we travelled nearly 100,000 miles, used 7,778 hotel rooms, 6,392 guitar strings, 3,760 drumsticks, 3,008 guitar picks, and consumed about 50,000 cans of beer, which is quite a feat. 30,000 soft drinks, so I'm pleased to say that they drank 20,000 more beers than soft drinks, 6,000 pints of milk, and 2,500 pints of orange juice, and literally tons of food. Brilliant stuff, and the detail the touring logistical detail you'd expect from Maiden. It's got crew credits, which is great, and no doubt some people who were working on the tour can look back at this. And it's also got the daily work crew schedule, which starts at 8 a.m. and finishes at 2 a.m. So not much time to sleep for those guys. Awesome. An awesome amount of detail, and just shows what craft, what care Maiden have always put into the projects. Bring one other element into it, the DVD. This is an awesome DVD. I really hope this was shot on film and somebody can come up with a high definition Blu-ray release of this. It'd be awesome. What is fantastic on these Iron Maiden DVDs are the documentaries, and this features part 2 of the history of Iron Maiden, which is Live After Death. This is actually available free from Iron Maiden on YouTube, so a brilliant gesture from the organisation to put these amazing documentaries free for everybody to watch on YouTube, and I'll put the link to that in the description below.
My discovery of Iron Maiden Live After Death is because of a dear old friend of mine called Rick. I've known Rick since about probably 1978, so we still keep in touch. Great guy. Anyway, he copied me a copy of this, and I put it on, and I'd never heard anything like it. Now, I was 12 at the time, couldn't really afford to go out and buy a lot of records, so friends copying things from me, even though, yes, it's illegal and I don't condone piracy. That's how we did things back in 1985, 86. So Rick copied me this, and I put it on, and I never heard anything like it. The rumbling at the beginning with the Churchill speech intro, and the way Ace's eye just rattles through, it was like somebody put a cattle prod right into my spine. I thought, this has introduced me to a wider world, and a wilder world, as later years turned out to be. Up to this point, I've listened to pretty much just Queen, and I still love Queen, and there's going to be lots of Queen chats and reviews on this channel. But don't forget Queen are Queen. They're pretty eclectic. They're, the Queen. You can't really describe it any other way. So I've been in this little bubble, and most of I think all my record collection was Queen records. It's cassettes. Don't forget vinyl. Everybody thought it's on its way out. Why I didn't buy all my cassettes as vinyl in 2021, big regret. But don't forget, cassettes were relatively cheap, and also the only way I could listen to music was on a Walkman. It wasn't a Sony Walkman, but my parents got me a personal stereo, let's call it, for Christmas, and that's pretty much the only way I could listen to music. So CDs were, you couldn't afford them, and I didn't have a player. LPs, I didn't have a record player. My parents had a record player, but I, in my room where I used to listen to a lot of music, the only thing I had really was a cassette player with headphones on it. So all my record collection was grown as cassettes. So anyway, Rick got into probably more fashionable forms of music and said, do you want to buy, I remember now, do you want to buy Iron Maiden Live After Death on cassette, Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon on cassette, and Iron Maiden Peace of Mind. And I paid a couple of pounds, very little. They pretty much gave them to me, and I'm eternally grateful. So that's why I discovered Iron Maiden Live After Death, and it really changed my perception. My head pretty much exploded as a 12-year-old listening to this, and it's like, what is this? This is just fantastic. And the crowd at Long Beach Arena, it was just fantastic, and it's still fantastic. I listened to the album last week, and when the rumbling comes in with the Churchill speech, it still sends shivers down my spine, and Ace's eye straight into it. Unfortunately, this rather old cassette, the tape stretched a bit, so it's a bit up and down. So unfortunately, I can't listen to it. I would love to listen to it on cassette, but alas not. But I've still got the cassette, and I'm never going to part with this.